Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to get started right away because we only have 45 minutes today to cover our topic. So, my name's Kara. I'm with the marketing team here at Billtrust. I'm excited to be with Mark Brousseau today. Some of you might recognize him. He was at our customer conference Insight a few months ago, presenting on a similar topic. This is kind of a part two to that conversation. So, very excited to be continuing this topic and very excited to see what Mark has to share today. I'm gonna just pass it right over to you, Mark. I know we have limited time, so if you don't mind introducing yourself, I'm gonna hide away here and you can get us started.
No need to hide away, Kara, but thank you for the warm introduction. Thank you all for taking time
No
out of your
problem.
busy days to join us. For the past 30 years, I have been in the payments, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and treasury automation space. And one of the things I've heard time and again is that change comes slowly to finance. But it seems like just a few years ago, everything suddenly changed all at once. New technologies, new ways of working, new risks, and new expectations. And managing an AR department has never been more daunting. Question for many of us is how do we make sense of this all? How do we prepare for the future? To use an overused phrase, how do we future proof our departments? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. Indeed, AR has reached something of a tipping point. AR used to be the quintessential back office function, right? We were a cost center. We were tactical. We were a necessary evil, a drain on company resources. And yet that really has started to change. And in many cases, the way we're doing things in AR hasn't been so quick to adapt. And problem is that in this fast changing environment, manual processes, static job descriptions, and disconnected systems, well, they're probably leaving us behind. All the while, we've got volatile markets. Take one quick glance at the business pages these days that are asking us to help the business adapt to ever changing conditions. What's more, there's new technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, robotic process automation. The list seemingly goes on and on. And we have the boss who wants us to help transform accounts receivable into a strategic engine. They want AR to help them meet their strategic goals. Well, how did we do all this? Well, that's what we'll focus on today. We'll talk about the four forces that are shaping accounts receivable today. Some of them you might be struggling with today, others might be a little further down the path. We'll talk about some strategies for aligning your people, your processes, and your technology. And we're going to put a real emphasis on people during this session. And we'll be talking about how to build a future ready AR function. Now, throughout today's webinar, I invite you to submit your questions to me. Simply use the Q&A tool on your screen to submit your questions. We'll answer as many questions as we can at the conclusion of today's webinar. What's more, throughout today's webinar, we're going to have a series of poll questions so you can see the challenges your peers are facing and the strategies they're using to address them. So don't wander too far away from your laptop. And that's where we're going to start with our first poll question, which is about to be displayed on your screen. I want to know, what's your biggest barrier to accounts receivable transformation? What's your biggest barrier to accounts receivable transformation? Is it budget constraints? Is it lack of internal expertise? Is it resistance to change? And maybe that's in your department, maybe it's a little further out in your enterprise. Is it uncertainty about how to build a business case for transformation? Or is it something else? Take a moment to respond to the poll question now displayed on your screen. And we'll discuss the results in just a moment. And no, there is no all of the above for the person who just sent in that comment. All right, one more second. Let's find out what it is that is your biggest barrier to accounts receivable transformation. So we asked you, what's your biggest barrier to accounts receivable transformation? 31% of you identified resistance to change. Perhaps that's among your staff. Perhaps that's in the C-suite. 25% of you identified budget constraints. Oh, and maybe this also feeds into competing priorities in the organization. 22% of you identified a lack of internal expertise. Yeah, this is a big challenge, right? New technologies, and maybe we don't have the skills on staff to be able to adopt those technologies, we believe. And 6% of you are concerned about your ability to build a business case. 16% of you said something else is on your mind when it comes to your biggest barrier to AR transformation. I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. If you're one of those people who identified something else as being your organization's barrier to accounts receivable transformation, I want you to use your chat tool and let me know what it is. Just type it in there and hit submit. Maybe we'll have some advice for you later on during today's webinar. So let's start with a step back to take a look at the trends that are shaping accounts payable these days and finance more broadly. When I think about AR, there's really four trends that are completely disrupting the way that things get done. The first is CFO pressure for us to become a strategic engine for the organization. And as part of this, market volatility. We also see AI and automation as being a key transformation force in AR, as well as hybrid work realities and shifting workforce expectations. Let's take a deeper look at each of these trends. The first, of course, is CFO pressure and market volatility. The role of the CFO is changing, and you are probably acutely aware of that. Today, 76% of all CFOs say their primary responsibility is to uncover and leverage sources of value for the organization. Why is that? Well, today it's not enough for a CFO to just be a scorekeeper. The organization is expecting, in many cases, counting on the CFO to be a strategist. Don't tell me what happened, tell me what will happen. And as CFOs' jobs evolve, they're going to need help in fulfilling those objectives. And who are they going to lean on? Well, you, Mr. and Mrs. AR leader. They expect you to help them find ways to improve cash forecasting accuracy, for instance, to unlock that data that flows through the AR department to help them make better decisions about how it is the organization should act. What's more, CFOs are counting on AR to help enhance customer satisfaction. This phrase of CX, customer experience, this is more important than ever to organizations today, particularly in highly competitive industries such as insurance. In many cases, the interactions that customers have with their AR department can make or break a valued relationship. What's more, CFOs are also looking for AR to help provide them with real-time insights for decision making. Now, I'm going to pause here to emphasize real time. I know that 40% of all AR departments do their reporting on spreadsheets. Yeah, spreadsheets, those relics of the 1980s that should have gone the way of parachute pants, Milli Vanilli, and Alf. What the heck was Alf all about? But that's not enough. Today, our markets are changing so fast because of geopolitical events, changes in global trade policy, and shifting economic conditions that CFOs need to know instantly where things stand. All of this means that today's CFO expects you to become a strategic enabler, not just a call center. So what does that mean? Well, if you're an AR leader today, you have got to provide better visibility into data. In many cases, organizations are looking for AR to become an information hub, if you will. Provide those insights that can help move the business forward. What's more, AR is also being asked to improve on key performance indicators that can help drive enterprise success. You're not just being asked to provide the data, but they're putting you in the driver's seat of these KPIs. So whether it's days sales outstanding or customer satisfaction, the organization's empowering you to not just track how the organization's doing, but to find ways to improve it. And we know when it comes to DSO in particular, that organizations are really leaning hard on AR to help improve their performance. And finally, AR is being asked to take a seat at the table to collaborate with the organization at large to be able to accelerate results, to achieve strategic objectives. So whether it's treasury, financial planning and accounting, or even the C-suite, we're seeing more and more collaboration between AR leaders and their stakeholders across the enterprise. But that's not the only trend that AR departments are facing these days. We're also seeing a huge drive toward automation in general and artificial intelligence in particular. Look, I don't have to tell you that manual tasks slow down the cash conversion cycle. Friction in the way that we go about collecting our money costs businesses worldwide billions and billions of dollars every year. We know this. So why haven't we done something about it? Well, the thing is that in many cases, we're working with antiquated, semi-automated systems that have been put together much like a kid's Lego puzzle, right? We kind of did it piecemeal over time. We've got a blue brick over here, a red brick over there, and one of those kooky flat yellow things that just kind of on top, trying to bridge everything together. The problem with this piecemeal approach is that it slows down collections. It increases your errors. It makes it harder to scale the business. And so now we're seeing a big push for digital transformation. This started, of course, during COVID. When we were forced out of our offices, we had to find ways to replace those manual paper-based processes that simply didn't work when we were working out of our living rooms. And so we saw a huge push toward digital transformation. And while you might have expected things to slow down, if you will, as we return to the office, at least part of the time, that hasn't been the case at all. Enter artificial intelligence. Today, you can't get away from AI. It's on the front page of every single trade publication. 60% of all finance departments expect to be using artificial intelligence for scenario planning by 2028. And one of the reasons that finance leaders are so excited about AI, whether it's for financial planning or accounts receivable, is that it can really eliminate a lot of the manual repetitive tasks that hold us back and slow down our cash conversion cycle. Take a look at this. According to a Gartner study, finance leaders believe that they could save up to 70% of their time with automated data retrieval using AI. 70% of finance leaders expect to pair AI with the Internet of Things so that they could provide real-time cash flow insights to stakeholders. What's more, 1 in 3 finance jobs are expected to be co-performed by humans and AI within the next 3 years. Put it all together, and this shows us the power that AI can have in accounts receivable. The critical thing is that we've got to find ways to leverage it in use cases in our department to provide those benefits. More on that a little bit later. There are some big examples of how it is we can use AI in accounts receivable. First, of course, is smarter decision making. AI combined with tools like BillTrust can provide us with predictive analytics to show us what might happen with our cash flows over time so that we're able to anticipate slowdowns in customer payment behavior or maybe act more quickly in cases where customers have suddenly slowed down their payments. That helps us with more proactive collections. If your organization is still relying on spreadsheets and sticky notes and rotary phones to collect your money, well, you're falling behind your competitors. AI powered tools such as BillTrust allow you to stay one step ahead of your cash flow issues. What's more, AI can help us resolve those exceptions that have seemed to stymie the cash application process, well, for as long as I've been in the industry. Helps us be able to identify potential solutions and in some cases resolve them themselves. It also can help ease cash application in general by applying payments more intelligently using data from multiple sources. What's more, AI eliminates manual repetitive tasks, things like payment processing and document routing, and that frees up our AR professionals to spend more time on fulfilling value added tasks. It shifts our AR teams from being data entry clerks to data analysts. And if you're trying to recruit young people into your department, you better believe that that's a more appealing job description than keying in payment information. The third force that's reshaping accounts receivable these days is our shift to hybrid work. Today, about 83% of all AR teams are working remotely at least part of the time. That's according to a recent study by the Institute of Finance and Management. And this hybrid work environment has some distinct upside benefits to it. Of course, it broadens your talent pool. It can potentially even lower your overhead depending on where that talent comes from. It also enables more real-time collaboration between our teams, and it helps you retain staff who otherwise might have been forced to look for a new job as a result of where they live. The problem is that hybrid work also can create some challenges for an AR department. In some cases, it creates some communication gaps. Without the right infrastructure, without the right tools to facilitate that collaboration, it's hard for far-flung staff to stay in the know. It's hard to know where things stand in the process. What's more, without the right infrastructure, you might not always be able to see where your receivables are. You might not always get visibility into customer payment behavior until it's too late. And when you have far-flung staff and you're relying on telephones and emails, resolving disputes becomes a real burden. The fourth force, fourth force, yeah, you try saying that 5 times fast. The fourth force that's reshaping our accounts receivable departments is a shift in our workforce. Today, we're seeing some challenges in staffing. In many cases, it's harder to attract and retain staff. Today, about 1/4 of all accounts receivable practitioners are either looking for a new job or planning to do so within the next 6 months. That's according to the Institute of Finance and Management. What's more, 22% of all AR staff who are approaching retirement age are seriously considering retiring early. All of this turnover and churn in our teams is creating some big headaches for AR leaders. In many cases, high turnover costs you time and money. In many cases, businesses simply aren't filling these positions in order to save a few bucks. And that hurts our accuracy. That hurts our productivity. That hurts our customer experience. What's more, when we have churn in our teams, they tend to become less engaged. That also impacts our overall performance. So what we're seeing is that organizations are having to rethink how they go about attracting and retaining staff. Today's workforce puts value not just on salary and benefits, but also on culture, things like workplace flexibility, as well as workplace conditions. And first and foremost among those is the level of automation in your AR department. Get this, more than 60% of AR practitioners who work in a highly automated department would never consider working for another company that had a lower level of automation. And what's that all about? Well, certainly it's a better work environment, but workers also understand that when they work for a highly automated department, that's one that's going to also help further their career. Now they become a data analyst, then not that data entry clerk. And so that can help drive their career forward. So what you want to do is you want to find ways to be able to meet workers where they are. You want to lower turnover, get a more engaged team, and find ways to attract top talent no matter where they are. So what you want to do is you want to leverage technologies in your department to be able to be a first mover and not a follower. You want to, for instance, bake artificial intelligence into your forecasting and collection strategy. Use automation and AI for insights and not just wringing efficiencies out of your processes. You want to find ways to prepare your staff for AI collaboration. And you want to be in position to act fast to gain an edge over your slow moving peers. And that brings us to our next poll question, which is about to be displayed on your screen. This time, I want to know, which AR technology investment do you believe would have the biggest impact on your results in the next 12 months? Which AR technology investment do you believe would have the biggest impact on your results in the next 12 months? Automated invoice delivery, cash application automation, AI powered collections management, advanced analytics and reporting, or something else? Take a moment to respond to the poll question now displayed on your screen, and we'll discuss the results in just a moment. All of these technologies have a compelling ROI, but which one do you believe would have the single biggest impact on your organization's results? All right, final call. Let's see how everyone responded. We asked you, which AR technology investment do you believe would have the biggest impact on your results in the next 12 months? 42% of you identified AI-powered collections management. Get rid of those sticky notes, get rid of those spreadsheets, and definitely get rid of those rotary phones. 27% of you identified cash application automation. Yep, it's not enough to get the payment in the bank. We've got to figure out how to apply it. 24% of you identified advanced analytics and reporting. No matter which technology they believe would have the biggest impact, it's imperative that you find a way to combine technology with a future-ready AR team to take full advantage of the opportunities that changes in AR present. And there's three areas that we believe you should focus on to create a future-ready AR department: people, processes, and technology. And that's what we're going to talk about now. The first step is to make sure that you upskill your AR staff for the future. You know, we talk a lot about technology when we're talking about optimizing AR, but we tend to forget about the most valuable asset that we have in our organization, and that's our people. And while this AR technology is a big change, we want to make sure that our staff isn't left behind. And it could be a shock to the system for some AR people when they are faced with AI powered solutions. So what we want to do is we want to empower our teams. We want to upskill them with all of the tools they need to be able to best leverage our future ready systems. And the first is to boost their tech fluency for tool adoption. Reality is we have many folks on our teams who've been with us a long time, and they might not be as AI aware as we might need. And so we've got to find ways to meet them where they are and bring them along. So do a skills assessment of where each of your staff members are, and then identify a training plan to get them to where they need to be in order to succeed in your new AI powered AR environment. Next, you want to make sure that you're finding ways to develop analytical and scenario modeling skills in your teams. In the past, we really asked our folks to be 10 key operators, to create spreadsheets. Well, now we're going to ask them to be more of data analysts, because a lot of those manual activities, such as keying information and assembling spreadsheets, that can be automated. So we want to find ways to leverage technologies that can help make them the analysts that they'd like to be. We also want to make sure that our teams are better trained on communication and customer experience capabilities. AI and automated technologies provide us with a tremendous asset for improving the experience that we are providing our customers. We can't take it for granted that all of our employees will be able to interact with our customers in a consistent way that reflects our corporate brands. And so we have to work hard to make sure that all of our employees are well trained on how it is that they should communicate with customers, because now, frankly, they're going to have more time to do so. We also want to make sure that we're clear with our employees up front that they are going to be collaborating with AI and automated technologies and not be replaced by them. This is one of the biggest misperceptions and one of the biggest fears about the future of finance in general and AI in particular. Many of our teams are terrified of the idea of AI coming and eradicating their job. I liken it back to that 1980s hit movie, The Terminator. Remember, Skynet became self aware and decided humans were a threat to its existence. So it wanted to eradicate the human race. Well, it's not unlike how many people view AI, that AI is out to take out our jobs. The fact is AI is not going to eliminate rank and file AR jobs. It's going to eliminate what we don't like about our jobs. Things like keying data and shuffling paper and wrangling with spreadsheets. And finally, we want to make sure we shift from our thinking as a team from process execution to outcome thinking. Process over purpose. That's the way many of us have operated out of necessity in AR for far too long. We want to create a culture where our entire team understands the big picture, how they fit into it. And now that we're going to be driving them forward with career development instead of dead end manual tasks, well, now they're going to be able to see that vision because they're going to be a part of it. And so you're going to have cases where inevitably some folks simply are still fearful of technology. In many cases, they might rebel against it. So, what do you do? How do you turn your skeptics into your champions? Well, the first is you want to make sure you address job fears head on. I know there's tempting to hide the idea of automating your ADAR department or deploying AI technology, hiding that from your staff until the very last minute for fear that they're going to start running for the door to look for a new job. That's actually the mistake. What we want to do is bring them into the picture right from the front and explain to them what's in it for them. You know, Linda, how you really hate doing those end of month reports? So AI is going to do that for you. So now you just have to focus on the exceptions or doing some analysis on it. You want to make sure that they understand what it is you're trying to achieve and then involve them in the search for your solutions. As you go along, you want to make sure that you're continuously providing opportunities for training and upskilling. So we're not inadvertently leaving our team members behind. As you have successes as a team, you want to share them with your team and beyond. You want to think like an SEC football team. They always set up those cupcakes early in the schedule. There's a reason for that. It proves out things. It gets all the players to understand, to buy into the program that the coach has. It gets the boss, the athletic director to say, "Ooh, I made the right choice in hiring the director." And it gets the fans behind them. And then after they win gets the cupcake, well, then they go against tougher and tougher teams. And that's how you want to view automation and AI too. Start small, expand as you prove things out, and always celebrate your wins. And make sure that as you deploy to automation, that you secure leadership backing, that you make sure that you have the CFO behind you. You want to make sure that you're looking to transform the way it is your team operates day to day into this future ready team. So instead of data entry, we become a data analyst. Instead of manual reconciliation, we have automated cash application. Instead of report generation, now we're using predictive insights to stay one step ahead. And instead of chasing down payments, we're talking to customers about how we can cross sell and upsell and work with them to grow the business. We also want to rethink about our processes. We want to find ways to respond fast to changing conditions. There's one thing we learned earlier this year. It's that we can't anticipate sudden changes in market conditions, geopolitical events, or even global trade policy. In many cases, businesses were caught flat footed. They weren't sure how to respond to changes in tariff policy because well, their forecasts were created months ago and they couldn't easily access the data. AR helps solve that. We can centralize information so that we can serve it up faster and provide real time insights into exactly where we stand right now. What's more, we can facilitate cross functional collaboration with the right AR platforms. And we can use things like agile sprints to help solve AR challenges. So as things do change, maybe we have a disruptive competitor that comes into our market and disrupts some of our customer payments. Well, now that allows us to make small changes and be able to do it fast. What's more, we want to be able to continuously review and refine our workflows as we go along. So many of us take a set it and forget it approach to AR automation. We deploy this technology to do one part of the AR process. We get it working and move on down the road. There's other problems to deal with. What we want to do is make sure we're continuously benchmarking the metrics associated with every part of our AR lifecycle so that we're shining a light on those areas that need some more focus and adjusting accordingly, maybe with new technologies, maybe with process changes. And so, one of the key ways to improve our processes, of course, is with automation. The question is how do I build a case for automation, particularly if things are changing fast? Well, the foundation hasn't changed no matter which part of the AR cycle it is that you want to tackle. The first, of course, is to make sure we're showing time savings. Organizations recognize that we waste too much time on manual repetitive tasks. Get this, most of an AR practitioner's day is wasted on manual activities like payment data, shuffling papers and emails, fixing errors and mistakes, and responding to calls and emails from customers and stakeholders about disputes and where things stand in the process. And yet, if you think about it, CFOs would expect the exact opposite. They want your teams focused on strategic activities and then spending the balance of that time on those manual tasks. You also want to think in terms of DSO. 70% of all CFOs want to improve their DSO. And things have gotten gnarly for a lot of businesses ever since the pandemic and haven't gotten much better. So you want to leverage AR automation whenever possible to improve your DSO. Accuracy, customer retention, competitive edge, these are all things that you want to consider including in your business case. Now, I know that there's a lot of you thinking to yourself, oh, Mark, my CFO right now is just worried about economic uncertainty. They're thinking about hoarding cash, not spending it on automation. Well, what you want to do is to overcome that barrier, is to put the case for AR automation in terms that your CFO cares about. Liquidity analysis, cash flow management, and risk mitigation. And AR automation addresses all three of those. So what you want to do is find ways to maximize your AR automation. Maybe you've already deployed some technologies and you're not getting quite the results you wanted. Maybe you're looking for ways to lever your existing technologies into further applications. Maybe you're just looking for a way to make sure that whatever automation you choose provides the maximum return on investment. What I want you to do is to think in terms of optimizing, not automating your processes. That starts, of course, with ensuring clean data upstream. You remember that old expression, garbage in, garbage out? That's especially true in today's AI powered automation environment. You need to make sure data hygiene is a top priority for your organization on an ongoing basis. Otherwise, the tools like AI simply won't provide the ROI that you're looking for. I also want you to think in terms of automating the entire AR lifecycle, not just parts. Most of you are still taking a piecemeal approach to automation. Now, while I don't need you to deploy a complete end-to-end solution all at once, in fact, I'd recommend for most of you that that's a bad idea. What you want to make sure you do is to partner with a technology provider that can offer that end-to-end solution over time. So all the way at the beginning, from credit and risk management all the way through to collections, you want to make sure you have a partner with an end-to-end solution. You also have to do a better job of measuring your key performance indicators. This is one that trips up a lot of AR departments. Today, about half of all AR departments don't track any metrics. My goodness, I don't know how you were ever able to build a business case for automation in that scenario. So what you want to do is you want to start benchmarking the key metrics to your organization. Now, I'm not going to tell you what they are because I don't know. You know. Only you know. Whatever is most important to your organization, start measuring it today, right after this call. That provides a baseline of where you currently stand. And then, whether it's building a business case for automation, measuring how your automated solution's performing, or looking for ways to improve employee productivity, those KPIs are going to become your best friend. Next, I want you to revisit your workflows regularly. Back in the day before the pandemic, I used to tell organizations that a couple times a year, they needed to gather everyone around the boardroom table and get one of those giant brown rolls of giant brown craft paper from the office supply store, spread it out on the table, and then get the smelliest, most toxic markers you could find and start drawing out all the workflows of how you did things in your AR department. What would happen is you'd inevitably see processes that you simply didn't know you were doing. And in many cases, you're not sure why you're doing them. And what you discover after some conversation is that these were passed down over time, like cherished Thanksgiving recipes, but nobody really knows why we're doing it. And they're not needed. If you remember back in the 80s, there was this whole thing about lean principles, right? The Japanese auto manufacturers kind of brought it to the US. And what surprises a lot of people is the first step in lean principles is to eliminate processes, not improve them. And in many of our cases, we have processes that we simply don't need to be doing. In other cases, we certainly don't want to digitize them. In other cases, there's stakeholders who are involved in the process we weren't aware of. So we want to make sure we're continuously revisiting our workflows. And if you haven't done it since you shifted to remote and hybrid work, it's long overdue. And finally, you want to make sure you never stop training your customers as well as your users. Make sure everybody understands how it is they can help in optimizing the system, whether it's submitting a payment through the online portal or using online dispute resolution tools. We want to make sure everybody understands how to make best use of the technologies and tools that we have in accounts receivable. Ensuring data quality is a huge topic in AR these days, and that largely is because of its dependence in artificial intelligence. So there's a few things you can do to protect the integrity of your customer records. Of course, the first is to standardize entry. I know many of you are just nodding your head or rolling your eyes and saying, "Oh yeah, that's a big problem in my organization." No two people seem to be able to agree on how it is a customer name should be entered, maybe what information needs to be there. The fact is you want to make sure that you have policies for how it is that information should be standardized and implement some QC checks to be sure that everyone is following the rules. You also want to make sure that you automate periodic data checks. So we're not looking at the cleanliness of our data once in a blue moon, that it's something we're regularly doing so that as we deploy new technologies and as we're leveraging new technologies, we're sure that we're getting the best data quality. Additionally, you want to make sure you're regularly auditing the quality of the information. You might be surprised at what you find in your records. You also want to leverage tools such as artificial intelligence to integrate with as many sources of information as possible. One of the beauties of AI is the more information it has, the better the results it provides. And so you want to make sure that it can plug into as many legacy systems in your organization as possible. And finally, and maybe most importantly, someone's got to own this. You know, data hygiene is one of those things in AR that sort of bounces around. We want to make sure there's somebody whose job it is to make sure our information is correct. All along the way, we want to make sure that we're measuring and communicating the success. We want to show the boss the results so that it can drive action and support. So we want to set up those KPIs up front. That'll give us those measurements so we know what it is we can celebrate. We want to track them, have automated tools whenever possible to make sure how we're performing. Use dashboards to serve it up internally as well as across the organization. Share those results wisely. So let the boss know just how we're doing. Let stakeholders know how we're performing in AR to support their role. And we want to make sure that whatever KPIs we set up, they're connected to our return on investment. So there's some things you can do to make sure you prepare your organization for the future of AR to stay ahead of the curve. Of course, you want to adopt emerging technology early. You want to train your team for adaptability. You want to foster a culture of innovation so everyone understands that technology isn't a threat, it's our friend. What's more, you want to build flexible, scalable processes. Make sure you're choosing technologies can adapt with your business and not be throwaway. And finally, you want to monitor trends so that you can pivot fast. And that brings us to our third poll question, which is about to be displayed on your screen. This time, I want to know, which of the following is your AR department's biggest current challenge? Which of the following is your AR department's biggest current challenge? Is it delayed payments and cash flow gaps? Is it high manual workload? Is it poor visibility into receivables? Is it inconsistent customer experience from your AR department? Or is it something else? Take a moment to respond to the poll question now displayed on your screen, and we'll discuss the results in just a moment. And it's interesting because I would have been really neat to know how they have changed over time. All right, let's take a look at how we responded to the poll question. We asked everyone, which of the following is your AR department's biggest current challenge? 39% of you identified high manual workload. You're bogged down on manual repetitive tasks. You don't have time for the strategic activities we've been talking about today. 26% of you identified delayed payments and cash flow gaps, and 13% of you identified poor visibility into your receivables. So we've got to find ways to elevate the AR function. We have to turn our ideas into impact. So we can do that by encouraging experimentation, taking a pilot, putting some stakes in the ground, and then expanding our AR automation into other processes. We want to look for use cases for AI, whether it's in credit and risk management or collections. We want to look at those opportunities for low-hanging fruit. We want to cultivate a curious, forward-looking team to understand that it's not just about processing payments and applying payments. It's also about moving the organization forward. We also want to make sure that as a department, we're learning from data, not just tracking it. We're becoming that information hub that the business expects us to be. And finally, we want to encourage feedback from users and customers. So as a leader, we've got to create a vision. We've got to make sure that everyone understands their role in executing that vision. And we want to make sure that the vision always stays aligned with our company's financial strategies. This will help make AR a strategic player in your business. You'll no longer be a cost center. You'll no longer be a tactical function. You will have that primo parking spot out front of the office the 2 days a week that you show up. You're going to link AR to business outcomes. You're going to highlight how it is that you make the customer experience so awesome. You're going to work with stakeholders so you can provide them with the insights they need to sell more, to forecast more accurately, to optimize yield. You're going to be able to turn AR into an innovator. So what we wanted to leave you with today is this. The future of work in finance starts right now. We want you to embrace automation and AR and AI strategically in your AR function. We want you to build a tech-savvy, agile AR team. Find ways to leverage the insights that flow through your department, measure and continuously optimize what it is you're doing to serve that information up, and become a champion for AR's role in your organization. With the processes, the people, and the technology that we've discussed today, you will become the strategic powerhouse that you were meant to be. Kara, thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was inspiring as always. I know we are at only 45 minutes today, so we went a little bit over, but it's great information, and I know it's very applicable for us in marketing too. So it was wonderful to hear, and thanks everybody for joining today. We'll be sending out the full recording as well, and a ebook that accompanies this, so you can dig in when you have some extra time and continue the conversation. But thanks again, Mark, and thanks everyone. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.